The African Development Bank, renowned for its efforts in promoting sustainable economic growth in Africa, has chosen to partner with the BluePeak Private Fund due to its exceptional track record of investing in businesses with high growth potential. By injecting funds into the BluePeak Private Capital Fund, the African Development Bank aims to further facilitate access to finance for African entrepreneurs and help them unlock their full potential.
The fact of the matter is Africa has never gone down. Africa went through challenges like every other continent went through challenges. And they came out of their challenges, so will Africa come out of its challenges. So I don't subscribe to those that would say, well, that's Africa is rising today or Africa is not rising tomorrow. You don't say that for Europe, you don't say that for Brexit, you don't say that for Asia. So why is that an appellation that we should get used to? I think we should get rid of that because for me, it doesn't make any sense. But take a look at what has happened in terms of economic growth for Africa. Today, Africa's economic growth, GDP growth rate is 4.3%. And you take a look at it from where we were coming, it's still above a lot of the global average. But that doesn't even tell you the entire story. You've got 30 countries that are growing at 3 to 5% and even above that. And so that tells you that you take a look at Kenya, you take a look at Tanzania, you look at Rwanda, you look at Senegal, you look at Cote d'Ivoire, you look at those countries that are growing, even Ethiopia is growing at 10%. And so I don't buy the kind of normalization of African countries. That's the first thing. Secondly, is that why should Africa not develop based on what it has? Africa has, as I said, tremendous amount of resources. What we must do is to be smart in unlocking our own resources that we have on the continent. And that, for me, is not something that we should be doing relying on just on external parties. Africa should actually use its own sovereign wealth funds, its own pension funds, its own insurance pool of funds to be able to do that. But even talking of all the others, if you have today $120 trillion of global savings pool that is out there. If Africa can just leverage a little bit of that, we will close all of those gaps that you talk about in no time. Take, for example, the amount of taxes that we collect in Africa. Today, the amount of taxes we collect in Africa is roughly $500 billion a year. Okay, you're talking about $70 billion gap. Well, if you just simply devoted 10% of that to infrastructure, you close 50% of that every year. So I think it comes down to also an allocative decision. That are we making the right allocative decision in how we use our public financing to support the areas of growth and development that we should have? And I also think that at the end of the day, if we use our taxes properly, if we have public expenditure efficiencies, and if we are able to leverage the global pension funds and others through the kind of vehicles that we have and Africa 50 has, I don't see why we will not be able to do that. I am a firm believer in Africa developing with pride. I don't believe Africa should develop with aid. I don't believe Africa should develop by grants. I think Africa should develop by the discipline of investments. And there's absolutely no reason why Asia can do that, Latin America can do that, Europe did that, and why can't Africa? I think it all comes down to believing in ourselves, believing in how we use our own resources, and believing at the end of the day that we shouldn't allow ourselves to be put into labels. It's for Africa to develop and to accelerate its own development, but it must do so with pride.
The $11 billion equity investment by the African Bank will serve as a catalyst for the African businesses, enabling them to overcome financial barriers and seize opportunities in emerging markets. Through its partnership, the African Development Bank aims to strengthen the entrepreneurial ecosystem and foster a conducive environment for investment and job creation. BluePeak Private Capital Fund is recognized for its focus on investing in small and medium-sized enterprises across various sectors such as technology, agriculture, renewable energy, and healthcare. By providing targeted investments to these sectors, the fund has demonstrated its commitment to promoting innovation, sustainability, and inclusive growth in Africa. Through strategic investment like this, the African Development Bank continues to demonstrate its dedication to empowering African entrepreneurs, fostering innovation, and catalyzing economic growth. The $11 million equity investment in BluePeak Private Capital Fund will undoubtedly play a pivotal role in shaping Africans' future by supporting the growth of promising businesses and stimulating economic transformation across the continent.